This runs in my family as well, and my nieces have it, my nephew has it, my daughter has the gene. She came positive for the gene for it. My son was skipped, so, but he is
When did you,
Dr. Tozzi.
excuse me for interrupting. How old were they when you got them tested?
The day they were born. For their heart, not genetic. Genetic testing was
No,
just
but
a few years
just for
ago.
their heart, the day they were born, you said, I want to check this out.
Absolutely, the day they were born.
If they had had it, doctor, would it have been picked up?
No, it tends, well, this is important. It's that sneaky disease.
Right.
It may be present at birth. Most often it's not. Most often it comes out in the adolescent years, but it can happen at any point in your life, meaning you could be fine and then at 70 years of age, all of a sudden it blossoms. And many times, honestly, it's missed. See, that's the other problem.
Well, then where's the prevention part?
The most common age of diagnosis is adolescence to 30. So we're going to identify it most often then. So when we look at a school child and we have them fill out these risk assessment forms, it's not only the child we're looking for, it's their parents. So we want to find the child, get them to the pediatrician, get them screened, but also get mom and dad in. And if we can get mom and dad and that one child, the rest of the family has the opportunity to be screened as well. And we can treat them. And you can live a normal life. I mean, we're living proof sitting right in front of you. I was diagnosed at 12. He was diagnosed at, well, not until 18, right?
17.
17. But we've been diagnosed our whole lives. We have families of our own. We're doing well. And that represents most of our population. And I've worked with over 5,000 families with HCM from all over the world.
We're trying to bring attention to this through our partners at Hackensack University Medical Center. But here's the thing. Parents watching this who know they have a history, like I said about my grandfather, but I knew that I needed to do certain things, and it's changed my life in terms of, you know, a whole bunch of things, and exercise and diet, et cetera, being more aware. But I don't think of my kids. Because, like, what? Is it going to skip? I don't know. We don't know. So what's the message we want to send to people watching right now, particularly as it relates to their kids and protecting their kids' hearts as best we can, even though it's a, you didn't say sneaky, you said a sneaky disease. Sneaky disease. Go ahead, Joan.
I just recently got my son's history and physical. He's an athlete. He's 15 years old, from the school, and it included all the 12-point questions. And it was worded in such a way that everyone would understand. And the instructions were, sit down with your child and talk to them about all these symptoms. Does he have chest pain, you know, with exertion? Any fainting episodes around athletics? Shortness of breath? Heart murmur, history of a heart murmur? You know, any problems that he's encountered, really discuss and check off, yes, no, don't know.
And then what do you do with that
Then you
information?
bring the form to the pediatrician. He would do the physical assessment part, but also review. And if any of these answers are yes, then you must go on for further
You
testing.
mentioned pediatricians. Doctor, to what degree are your colleagues engaged, involved? You're making a face as I'm talking about this. Engaged, involved, committed, understand the severity of the situation and how important it is to be aware and proactive.
Oh, this is for me, now I have a bias, so I'm going to make
What's your bias?
My bias is that we can screen effectively in schools in a limited fashion for the same cost that it would take to do it in a pediatrician's office plus an EKG. So I think that...
But we do not.
We started some pilot programs, and I feel, this is a bias, I feel that we can do it better and pick up more disease and do it in a preventative fashion. When I say preventative, part of the program that we do now is go out to a school. I give a talk to the entire school assembly, 450 kids,
right,
and go over what prevention is, what you should do as far as fluids, how you exercise, what you should eat, what about sleep, what are the symptoms, what are the signs of having a problem. I believe in joining not only the screening, but the screening to prevention that would lead to healthier children in the future is going to save dollars.
Okay, but you're going out there doing that proactively. I imagine you're invited at times, but there's not a concerted, systematic, across-the-board effort to get pediatricians involved, particularly pediatricians with expertise in heart disease and issues, right? That's not happening.
No, it's not.
Because I don't remember, I mean, we have kids in grade school, and I'm pretty confident they have not had a pediatrician come in and talk about this.
Steve, we have 1.6 million children in New Jersey schools.
Go ahead.
We need to get to all of them.
Give me some numbers here. My information is...
1 in 500 people have HCM.
1 in 5, you answered my question. 1 in 500 people have HCM.
regardless of age.
Have the gene.
No, 1 in 500 have echo-positive HCM.
You gonna argue with him on this?
Yes, I am.
No,
What's
they
it-
have
what's-
the
I wanna
gene.
get this right.
All right. There is no clear data of where the incidence of the disease is. But if you screen, it appears that if the disease is out,
Yep.
you can pick it up in the elderly, but we're not sure it's the same disease as it is in children, meaning only about 80% is genetic that we know of. So there's a lot of additional.
So 1 in
part that-
500, what is the correct information? I want to put it out there.
Well, I think the best thing to say is 1 in 500, between 1 in 250 and 1 in 500 have the gene in that
I'd agree.
range.
Got it. And so therefore, you're advocating what?
If we use the risk assessment tool and get that out to 2nd, 8th, and 10th grade students, we will have the opportunity to reach 1.6 million children at multiple intervals through school, because things change. When we were in 2nd grade, we didn't have signs and symptoms of HCM,
Right.
but when we hit 8th and 10th grade, we did. So the disease develops over time, but there are other diseases that cause sudden cardiac arrest in the young. This form also looks for those as well. So if we were to start getting this tool out there and start getting parents like you to look at this form and say, wait a minute, is this my child as well? Then we can start to have a different dialogue with the pediatrician.
Should it be voluntary, or are you saying that the state should mandate it?
I would like the state to mandate it. It's free. I mean, it's not going to cost the state a penny other than a piece of paper.
And they could work with your nonprofit to use, and then the American Heart
We would
Association,
be happy to
right?
give them our form online right now.
You like this or not?
Sure, that's an education piece that Lisa has been handling. I think it's fantastic. You can't lose by education. I think that's a win-win. There's no doubt.
But one thing that's interesting to me is that HCM manifests itself differently in different people in terms of the impact on lifestyle.
Right.
Now, for you, it wasn't the same experience.
It wasn't. I'm no longer working.
You're no longer working. You're on disability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is interesting because both diagnosed with the same disease.
It's different progressions. So
While it's the same disease, it might be different genetic links that cause it, and how it affects his body versus mine is different. I was notified in advance of my disease really becoming problematic. I found out when I was 12.
Right.
I didn't really take any precautions until I was about 20, but I did have a stroke at 21.
You had a stroke at 21.
Yeah.
Steve, this
Oh,
is
yes.
important that even it comes out much more aggressively many times in men versus women.
Why?
We're not sure. Maybe with muscle mass, it can.
And tell folks again who've just tuned in, HCM is?
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
And it is
it's
explain.
hereditary. And what I wanted to make the point is,
Go ahead.
when someone comes in with, let's say you had the gene, and you come in with 2 children, you come to me, you don't know what's going on with your 2 children, you have the gene, odds are 75% that at least one of them is going to have that.
75%.
We always go with this 50-50, but the reality is you have 2 children, you add it up, it becomes 75%. So you can imagine if you took someone with 5 children and they come in. So one of the pieces of information I try to get to families is, it is, in doctors as well, it is more likely that you're going to have a child if you have at least 2 children,
More likely.
that you're going to have at least 1 child with that disease.
Listen, the few minutes we have left, we're covering a lot of ground here, and I promise you it will not be the last program we do on this and related subjects on the Healthy New Jersey series. Joan, get you back in here. Prevention. Talk about diet, exercise. But again, for Jimmy, that didn't make sense because in gym class, he couldn't,
Right, right. I mean, once a child is diagnosed, there are different treatments. I mean, some have to have more restrictions on their diet. For any healthy child, I mean, we want everybody to follow a heart-healthy diet, low in sodium and low in saturated fat. We want children to exercise.
Eat more of what and less of what? Let's break it down. And by the way, we'll put this information, the link together with the American Heart Association with the information on nutrition. So go ahead.
4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetable every day. Your protein should be lean fish, lean meats, whole grains.
And try to stay away from?
Soda. Sweetened
Saturated
drinks
fats.
and saturated fats, yes.
Yes.
One thing that I think we should get across, a no-fat diet is not a healthy diet.
Because?
You need fat but you need good fat, and that's fish, that's avocado, that's nuts, that's seeds. It's a very important, a balanced diet is key. I want to make a couple of points about Jimmy.
Real quick, go ahead.
Jimmy's disease, he was on a transplant list maybe 8 or 10 years ago, and with a new advancement in medication, actually came off the transplant list. He had very aggressive disease. We believe, actually I believe, early identification of this disease allows us to intervene medically and surgically, and I believe will alter the future for patients like that.
Jimmy, what's the message you want to share with everyone today, given everything you've gone through?
I just think that kids need to be aware, well, parents need to be aware of their children's health. So they need to get screening done, especially before starting sports, because, or a gym class, a sport in gym class that is, more calisthenic, I'd say.
Sure.
They should have a heart scan, or an EKG, an echo. You should follow up on your children's health, because if I had that done back when I had started cardiac arrest, the chances are I would have found it.
Well, we're glad you're here now and doing what you're doing, and both of you are making a great difference and a tremendous public service. I want to thank all of you. Really appreciate it.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 20 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, in cooperation with NJN Public Television and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Hackensack University Medical Center, Wells Fargo, and by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, making healthcare work. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, and the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.